Good evening. Thank you, everybody, for joining me on this Thursday evening in the UK. 10 o'clock here, or just past 10. And I wanted to jump on. I've let a lot of Blu-rays and physical media and stuff kind of pile up a little bit in here. I'm having the room done at the moment. I've had a carpenter in who's measuring up and putting me shelves up and stuff for all this nonsense I'm buying at the moment. So that's kind of an ongoing thing. He starts next week. He's building all the stuff bespoke in his workshop at the moment. And he's coming in next week to fit all the shelves, and so we may see a little change in the background here over the next week or two, as I kind of finally settle on how I want the room to look with posters and lighting, and maybe I'll get rid of these kind of chunky shelves behind me, because this room's actually not that big. It's kind of, I don't know, what would it be now? About, I'd say 5 by 4 meters. That's all. It's quite a small room. And like when Frank was over and we did the live together, there was a bit of a squeeze in here. It was a bit sort of uncomfortable in each other's space and that, you know. But no, I'll get this sorted out soon, and hopefully over the next week or two you'll see a bit of change in here. But thank you for joining me. There's 27 of you here at the moment. Hopefully some more will come in. God, a lot's happened in the last week, right? You know, we were only just kind of coming to terms with losing Ozzy, then the Hulkster goes and pops it as well. What a shame. What an absolute shame. What a week it's been for losing people. I mean, I know there was a guy that was on the Cosby Show. Was it the Cosby Show that died as well? I mean, it doesn't really mean a lot to us over here, but I noticed that everybody's putting it into threes. Yeah, it's, I mean, you know, as always, the Hulk Hogan thing is, to me, and I was chatting to Ronnie about this on this afternoon. Ronnie from All the Good Names Are Taken, and he's gutted. Him and Blake are gutted that Hogan's gone. And, you know, they know what Terry Bollea is like as a person, but they try and separate that. And the Hulkster meant a hell of a lot to him, as it did to a lot of people in the US and in the UK as well. You know, I remember him from the early days, you know, Rocky 3, and then getting into the WWE as it was back then in the late 80s with him and Warrior. And, you know, I wasn't kind of into it when the WrestleMania 3 happened with Andre the Giant and that, but certainly the late 80s when it hit Sky Television in the UK and through the 90s, and he was a big deal, a huge deal. And yeah, it's kind of odd that all these people that are around about the similar sort of ages are starting to kind of disappear at the moment. We've had a lot of big hitters this year. I mean, only a few weeks ago, as Frank mentioned yesterday, it was Michael Madsen as well. So, you know, it's kind of odd, and I always feel compelled to mention these things, even though there's kind of a lot of division online about Hogan and what he was like. You know, like I say, I'm talking about what the character he played, the wrestler, rather than the individual himself. What he did for so many young kids out there. It was fascinating to see. And he lived in the town where I got married. In fact, I got married in Clearwater, and he had a little kind of place on the beach there, or just off the beach. He had his own kind of bar and that. And I believe that's where he died, I think, at home there. But yeah, it's Thunder Lips. And you know what? I kind of saved myself because I knew that Frank was probably going to blame me for this, because like when Richard Donner died, he blamed me for that. I was talking about Richard Donner, and then a few days, I was slagging the Goonies off, I was. And then the next day, Richard Donner died, and he blames me for that. Yesterday, when we were doing our live stream, I was so close to choosing Suburban Commando as one of my worst films. And I didn't. I stepped back because I'd chosen No Holds Barred the week before. But no, I refrained from doing that, and I'm sure Frank's going to blame me for it anyway for picking no holds barred. But Yeah, it was a shock today when I was at work and the news flash came through about that. Rest in peace, sir. Rest in peace. Yeah, I wanted to jump on and talk about some of the physical media that I've bought, both vinyl and 4Ks. There's been so many releases over these last few weeks. And each time I wanted to jump on, more was dropping through the letterbox. And I think I've got a few more arriving tomorrow as well. But before I do that, let me just say hello to a few people in the chat. Let me just say, see who's here at the moment. Blake's there and says, no Hogan slander today, Darren, my heart can't take it. I know, I saw the pictures of you and your kids underneath the sign and everything. I think you were on a beach or something. Chester's here, Paul H is here, Brandon's here, John Jones, Katie Boyd, Kingslayer, Alan Meggs. Good evening, young Darren, crikey. He calls me that all the time. I wish I felt young, put it that way. CM's here as well. Chester Franklin, we've mentioned Chester already. Shamrock's here as well. 15 by 12 isn't bad. Yeah, it's decent, but there's a lot of kit in here, and I have a lot of, as some of you know, I've got a bit of a sneaker fetish as well. So there's a lot of those in here that you can't see. There's also a lot of Myers masks, which I'm going to have put on display properly as well. Probably not behind me, but probably in the room somewhere. And there's a big chest down there just full of all sorts of crap I need to sort out, and wires everywhere, which it looks great from this point of view. But if I turn the camera the other way, yeah, it needs sorting. So it's going to be sorted over the next few days. Who else is here? Shamrock's here. Don Mack's here. Hey, Don Mack. Dr. Winston O'Boogie. And Blake says, oh, well, that was Clearwater Beach. Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, I've been there quite a few times. Like I said, tied the knot there. Dr. Winston O'Boogie says, good evening from Newcastle. Zombie Flesh Eaters is a stunning set. Yeah, we'll get onto that in a moment. I'm going to show that one off. That one dropped through the door yesterday, thanks to Arrow and their new packaging, which everybody's complaining about. They put it in some very, very flimsy packaging that only just fits through the letterbox, and the postie was kind of ramming it through, and it's kind of dinged the box a little bit. But I know Craig Murray, who's in our Facebook group, his got scuffed to hell. So they need to sort that out. It's too flimsy of a package to put an expensive box set in. It's not on it. I think it's Second Sight. They have it down to a T. They put them in really big padded boxes and wrap them in bubble wrap as well. But yeah, that's kind of Amazon levels of packaging that Arrow were doing for Zombie Flesh Eaters. Anyway, so first off, what am I going to talk about first off? Let me have a look here. So Arrow had a massive sale on. Actually, no, I'll talk about this one first. A movie that I really love, and I was, for some reason, a Drum Dums review popped up in my feed the other day, one of Lee's reviews that was from a couple of years ago, and it was for this movie here. I don't know if any of you have seen it, Body Double, and I'd seen this so many times in the past. I really like the film. It's one of, Brian De Palma, it's not one of his best films, but it's one of his better films, I think. Melanie Griffith, Craig Wasson from A Nightmare on Elm Street. It's kind of a sort of saucy retelling of Hitchcock's Rear Window. And it comes in this really cool tin here. Let me see if I can show you inside. You get the Blu-ray and the 4K inside. Pictures of a young Melanie Griffith in there. But yeah, a guy looking after someone's apartment witnesses a murder over the road. It's kind of part slasher, part thriller, and it's quite tense in parts and quite graphic as well. There's a woman that gets killed by almost like a giant hydraulic drill. It's also a bit of a whodunit. There's also a moment in the film where Frankie Goes to Hollywood comes into it, and the whole relax video takes place, like they're on the set of the video. It's a really cool moment. There you get all the special features. 4 featurettes, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, a relax music video, EPK interviews, photo gallery, and theatrical trailer. And it's in Vision and Atmos, which is fantastic as well. Kingslayer says, I love Body Double. Shamrock Ball says De Palma. Yes, it is. Yeah, Body Double is great. It wouldn't be like De Palma to rip off Hitchcock, says Shamrock. Dr. Winston Boogie says, Shamrock Balls, I'm more but good at Eddie at the club. Oh, yeah, sorry. Brandon says, love Body Double. That whole Frankie Goes to Hollywood sequence is pure 80s gold. It really is. It looks fantastic. Alan Meg says, tongue twister. Arrow are announcing new titles tomorrow at 3 p.m. The original Salem's Lot strongly rumored to be one of them. Yeah, I saw that. There was questions about whether it's going to be this month or maybe further down the line. But yeah, it seems that there's a 4K version of Salem's Lot, the original, coming along. But also I think they're doing In the Mouth of Madness and Prince of Darkness as well, which I saw covers for. That have leaked online. So that's going to be exciting tomorrow afternoon. I bet they're region 1 though. I bet they're going to be US versions, so we'll have to import them. But anyway, Don Mac says, I need to rewatch Body Double. Haven't seen it in decades. It's really, I haven't watched this particular one yet, so I can't comment on how good it looks. I have heard it looks terrific. And Sony do some good 4Ks now and again. Their Starman that came out recently was terrific. Wolfman's Got Nars says, hey, Barry, it could be In the Mouth of Madness. Yeah, that's what I heard. In the Mouth of Madness and Prince of Darkness. I've already got Prince of Darkness, but it's in that kind of bulky Studio Canal box sets, and they're just 4K. They're not HDR at all. So it might, if Arrow do them, I'm sure it will be HDR and Dolby Vision and Atmos. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what's on the plate tomorrow. Kingslayer says Body Double is better than Dress to Kill. I agree. I do agree on that. I like Dress to Kill, but I think Body Double is a much better movie. And as Brandon says, partly because of that Frankie Goes to Hollywood moment in there. It's really good fun. And Craig Wasson, you don't see him around at all. I mean, he did 2 or 3 movies in the 80s, Dream Warriors being one of them. But after that, I don't remember seeing him in much else whatsoever. He was a good actor. I liked him. And he's very good in this. I think he has like agoraphobia in this film, and so he can't go outside very much, and when he does, it sends him into a complete tailspin. So Body Double is the first one that I wanted to share with you. Let me just put that over there. These are going to pile up. The next one is this. Now, I posted about this on my community page on YouTube. This concert is absolutely terrific if you haven't seen it. Hans Zimmer live in Prague. He does absolutely everything. He does Batman, he does Superman, he does Lion King, he does, what else is there? True Romance, Rain Man, Thin Red Line. Well, I said Superman, it's Man of Steel. Gladiator, Crimson Tide, Driving Miss Daisy, Interstellar, Inception. It's all on here live with Johnny Marr playing on guitar, and it is a fantastic concert. And so it's only been available on Blu-ray in the past, and they redid it in Atmos and 4K, which so I haven't seen it like that before. I still haven't watched it yet. And I paid like next to, I don't know, it was 27, 28 pounds or something for this, and it comes in this bloody paper thin. Look at it from that angle, you can barely see it. Envelope sleeve thing, like an old CD you would get stuck to a magazine. How poor is that? I mean, put it in a box for goodness sake, or a case or something. For the money you're paying for this, for such a special piece of physical media as well, it just comes in an envelope, a cardboard envelope. Yeah. Really pissed me off, did that. But I feel like I can't open it now because I'm worried I'm just going to damage the hell out of it if I do. I feel like just buying another one just to unwrap and keeping this one just to make sure it's preserved. Damn thing. I'll have to do what Nigel does, Rock God 2004. He always just slits the cellophane and leaves the cellophane on the actual Blu-rays and 4Ks themselves. But I don't feel like I can enjoy them when they're still wrapped in all this kind of sheaths. Next up was another one, and all these I haven't had time. I've been so busy at work, and the last weekend I've had guests and people coming to stay, all that kind of stuff. So I haven't had a chance to watch anything for ages. Cobra in 4K, which has a ton of stuff on it, and a lot of it is from other versions that have come out in the past. However, it does have a TV version of the film featuring deleted and alternate scenes. So I'm kind of looking forward to watching this just to see. I know it's going to be sanitized, but it'll be really interesting to see the TV version and how different it is, especially if it's got different scenes in there as well. But maybe the different scenes are censored scenes, but who knows? But I'm looking forward to this. This it's not an Atmos track, unfortunately. I don't think. No, it's DTS HD, but it does come in HDR and Dolby Vision, so that's really cool. Really looking forward to seeing this. Cobra. Any thoughts on Cobra in the chat there? Let's have a look. Brandon says Hans Zimmer is so damn prolific. He is. That feels like it's unworthy to be on the shelf. It does. I'm just like, I wonder if they, I don't know. I don't know what the Blu-ray version was like, whether that came, because I've seen this, I bought this on streaming, so that's the only place that I've seen this. So I wonder if the Blu-ray version does have a plastic case, and maybe I'll buy that and stick this inside it or something. But it just looks so poor. I feel like, who released this piece of shit? Universal. You should be ashamed with that. Anyway, Alan says, I picked that Hans Zimmer disc up this morning, Darren, in a local store. The manager gave me 20% off, so that helped. But yeah, crap packaging. He needs to give us more than that off. I mean, good for you for getting the 20%. Did you complain about the packaging? Is that how you got it? And Shamrock says, at least that'll fit through your letterbox. And get totally scratched to hell as in the process as well. Kingslayer says, Cobra is good. It's the way of the new world. It is. Cobra's a great film. Alan Meg says, Cobra, the alternate Beverly Hills Cop. That's true. That's true. That's the movie that he went on to make. So let me get this right. So originally, Beverly Hills Cop was a completely different story. It had Stallone attached to it. The story was based around Fair Game. Is that right? The book Fair Game? Stallone then tried to buy the book off the author. And this is after he's left Beverly Hills Cop at this point. Tried to buy the book off the author and have his own name put on the book as if he'd written it. And the author turned around and said, no, absolutely not. No. So anyway, so he gets the rights to be able to make the film from it, makes Cobra, and then further down the line, they make the film Fair Game anyway. I've only seen Fair Game once. I don't know how similar it is to Cobra. I think Fair Game was it William Baldwin and Cindy Crawford, if I remember. But yeah, there's a long, convoluted story behind the whole Beverly Hills Cop Cobra process. But it all revolves around this book, Fair Game. But imagine that, kind of like taking someone's work and saying, I'll pay you to take your name off this and put mine on it so I look good. Jesus Christ. Cobra originally was over 2 hours, but was cut by the studio to compete in theaters with Top Gun. Yeah, I've heard there's a lot of stuff missing from it. Cobra is very good. Hot take, not that keen on Cobra. Listen, Cobra, when it first came out, I wasn't a massive fan of. I remember renting it when it first came out. It was an 18, so I don't think in 86. No, my first 18 was RoboCop, and this came out in 85, 86. So I never saw it at the cinema. But when I saw it on video, I was a little disappointed. It felt like it wasn't. I don't know. I guess seeing it after Rocky and Rambo and things like that, I was sort of a little down on it. It felt more like something that, I don't know, Clint Eastwood would make or something rather than Sylvester Stallone. However, over the years, I've kind of come to really enjoy it. I think that the action sequences are great fun. I think the character's great. I love Andrew Robinson in it. In some parts, it almost feels like it's a slasher movie with this whole Night Stalker nonsense. Bridget Nielsen's pretty naff in it, but overall, I think it's a really swift 90 minutes and delivers. I think it really does. It really does. It's cheesy as hell. Don Mack says, I wish the cutscenes were restored to Cobra. The studio cut about 20 or 30 minutes right before it was released. The studio cut about... Oh, right. Okay, yeah. I thought you meant they cut it 20 minutes before it was released in cinemas. They cut 20 or 30 minutes out of it right before it was released. Brandon says, Fair Game has one really impressive shot. Other than that, it's shit. I only saw it once and it was a disaster, wasn't it? The movie was an absolute, a flop at the box office. Alan says, lactose intolerant people avoid Cobra. Way too much cheese, but grand with a few beers and a pizza, in my opinion. And then Don Mack says, Cobra is pure 80s action, which is what I know, like what I now like best about it. And Shamrock says, Darren, HMV have taken the money for my Jaws 50th anniversary steelbook. Hopefully it will be here next week. Oh, wow. Yeah, I forgot all about that. That's due any day now. Excellent. Yeah, because they took the money for my Final Destination steelbook, and that was, they dispatched it on Monday. I think it's due out this coming Monday, but they dispatched it like a week before and it still hasn't arrived yet. I think they do that, don't they? They must put like holds on the postage of them. But that's interesting about Jaws. Wow. Okay, that'll be great to get that in. Next up, Arrow sale. The Arrow sale that happened. I thought it was okay. I thought there was a lot of people, particularly US sites. I don't know whether they didn't get quite as much discount as we did over here, but I thought the sale, there were some pretty good bargains in there. And I bought this. I have the regular Blu-ray of this, but I wanted. I haven't unwrapped it yet, but yeah, I wanted the Exorcist 3. Great movie. Nowhere near as good as the original, but still probably the second best one in the whole franchise. There's a look at the back there. DTS HD and Dolby Audio, not Atmos, unfortunately. It has the theatrical cut, and disc 2 has the Blu-ray of the Legion director's cut, which I haven't watched yet. I need to watch that because people tell me it is quite different. And because I bought that, a lot of people are going to scoff. There's going to be like a hole in my shelf where it goes, where I've got Exorcist 3. I have Believer as well, because I'm one of those people who didn't shit. I don't think Believer's great, but I don't think it's as bad as what a lot of people were making out. I thought there were some quite, nice moments in that film. I thought I can't have a hole in the shelf with the, those. I'm taking, I'm not counting the 2 prequels in this. So I had to get the Heretic. I know it's awful, but it's kind of, I find it at times one of those so bad it's good movies, particularly with Richard Burton in it, and James Earl Jones. I'm going to give it another go. I've given it so many goes in the past. I'm going to give it another go. But it was going really cheap. I think it was around about, I don't know, I think it was like £8 or something like that in the sale. I can't actually remember now. I think it was round about that. It was cheap anyway, but this is only a Blu-ray. But I thought I'd go for it. In the chat here, what have we got going on here? Shamrock says it obviously hasn't reached its final destination. Yeah, true. I'm hoping it's going to come this weekend because I haven't seen it yet and I want to see it. That's what she said. Says hello. What's up, y'all? John Bates says Exorcist 3 best jump scare ever. I beg to differ on that. It is a good jump scare, but we're going to talk about what I think is the best jump scare in a few minutes because I've just bought the movie. What contains what I feel is the best jump scare of all time. Shamrock Balls, from the Arrow sale, I've ordered Donnie Darko 4K to Live and Die in LA. Life Force, I've got that one already. That's a good one, is that? Phantasm box set, House box set, and Microwave Massacre. Microwave Massacre. Oh, what's his name? Mondo Chelovic. John over on Mondo Chelovic was talking about movies that when you walked into a video store when you were a kid, that you can cast your mind back to, and those were the movies that stood out on the shelves when you first walked into a video store. And Microwave Massacre was one of mine. It was a movie that I never rented. It was always there on the shelf. The microwave with the woman's severed head in the microwave. I think it was it on the Nasties list? If it was on the. It may have been section 3 or something like that. But I'm curious about that film. I think I might have caught some of it on TV years ago on like one of those channels that you kind of that are in the thousands or something. It was like a horror channel or something. I think I caught some of it then. But yeah, that was always a movie for me. Whenever I went to the video shop in the early 80s, Microwave Massacre was always there. Zombie was always there, and we'll talk about that in a minute. What else was always there? A movie called Homebodies, which was on Embassy. Escape from New York, I always remember seeing on the shelf. Halloween 2 was always there. American Werewolf, I can remember where they were placed as well. It's funny how it kind of, certain movies bring back memories of those days wandering around video shops. Exorcist 2 is better than Exorcist Believer, says Don Mac. Brandon says if it's the one I'm thinking of, that poor little girl, we'll come to it in a minute. Shamrock Ball says a few of them are blind buy for me, including Micro. I'm sure it'll be fun. These things, even if the films are awful, some of the general commentary and critique on these things is always fun to watch and listen to. The booklets that you get, the little documentaries they put together, I find them sometimes more fascinating than the films I've bought. So, with every movie, there's a great story, and Arrow always seems to bring out those great stories, whether it's within the books that they produce or talking heads or commentaries, whatever it is. They really do put their all into their packages, and it's not a lot of the time it's not them that have produced it. They've these extras are transferred over from other versions that are out there, but I think I'm more into the extras on physical media these days than I ever was when DVDs first came out. I would buy stuff and not even bother watching any extras, but now once I sit down and watch the film, the extras go straight on afterwards, and I'll plow through as much of them as I can, especially if we're doing episodes on them as well. A movie I don't really know a lot about, but it's an early Lucio Fulci film. Don't Torture a Duckling. I think it's an old Giallo film from the early 70s. Really looking forward to watching this. I went online and read a few things about it and read a few reviews about what they've done with this, and people seem to think it's a really good package. So I thought, why not? It was going, I think it was 14, 15 pounds when it's normally, 25 or something. So Don't Torture a Duckling. If anybody's seen it, pop it down in the comments there and let me know whether it's any good. Another one that I missed when it came around first time, a proper box set that Arrow have done here, along the lines of, I'll get to that one in a minute, but more effort went into this than went into Cobra, and that's Demolition Man, the box set that Arrow produced here. Huge box set with all sorts of stuff. Wait a minute. Have I bought the wrong damn thing here? I'll have to look at that later. It says limited edition Blu-ray. Brand new. I think I've bought the Blu-ray version. What an idiot. I have. God damn it. Right, that's going on eBay. Damn. New York Ripper's better than Don't Torture a Duckling. Okay, fair enough. I'm not a fan of New York Ripper, though. New York Ripper's terrible. All that stuff, I can't be bothered with any of that. It's a nasty old film, is New York Ripper. I don't own it. I used to own it, but I got rid of it years ago. I mean, I love House by the Cemetery, City of the Living Dead, Zombie, I think is, one of his best. Don't Torture a Duckling is good, but I like those types of movies. Okay, Julie, thank you. Alan says, Shamrock says, I hate it when that happens. Yes, I've done it before. I did it with Body Snatchers. I clicked on the wrong one. So I still only have the Blu-ray of the Body Snatchers, but I doubt the 4K is much of an improvement on that. Alan says, I love collecting, but the VHS days were the most exciting time ever. I remember queuing for an hour for Batman 89. I still have it. What, to buy it? Yeah, wasn't Batman one of the first VHSs in the UK that went like straight to sell through or something like that? Like rental copies were available and you could buy it as well for like 15 quid or something. I think that was right, if I remember. I think it was one of the first titles that got sold. Because usually if you wanted to buy a movie when they went to rental, it would cost you like $79.99. Like when I fell for that Jason Takes Manhattan VHS years ago, took it home, watched it, absolute crap, wanted to take it back. Bloke was like, no, you paid for it now, keep it. Don Mack says, I saw Don't Torture a Duckling last year for the first time. It's pretty good, but I like other Fulci movies more. Okay, well, still, it's pretty good. And I like Fulci's stuff anyway, so I'm looking forward to that. A couple of, over the years, Arrow have been putting out these Giallo box sets. I want to do something on Giallo on the channel. I want to invite Leon, because Lee's a big Giallo fan. So I want to brush up on a lot of Giallo, not just watching kind of either, Fulci or the ones that he's done, and Dario Argento. I want to kind of branch out a little bit more. So I've been buying these box sets, these Giallo box sets, Giallo Essentials. There's the Pajama Girl case, the Fifth Chord, the Possessed in that one, and then in this one, the Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave. I can't even see what that one says there. Oh my God. I can't even read that. Can anybody read that there? Actually, maybe the middle one. The iguana with the tongue of fire, I think it says. And the suspicious death of a minor. So there are 5 boxes. There's a yellow one, a white one, a red one, a black one, and a blue one. But they're quite expensive now. The 3 I haven't got are quite expensive, so I'm going to have to keep an eye out on eBay and such to see if I can pick them up at a reasonable price. But yeah, I want to start looking at some of these titles and then maybe do an episode on them. Like I said, I want to invite Lee from Drundums over because he's a massive Giallo fan. So. Alan says, yeah, one of the first to go to sell through. Yeah, HMV just stacked them on the floor behind the till. Yeah, I remember buying it myself. I actually remember a friend of mine coming to the UK. I think I mentioned this a couple of episodes ago, and he brought it over from the US because it came out in the US. It was out to buy in the US before it hit the cinemas in the UK. Because there was a good 2-3 months gap between the release dates. I think we got it in August, the US got it in June or something. Yeah, and he brought this video over and I thought, wow, I'm going to get to see Batman before anyone else. Put it in my machine and yeah, it was NTSC and wouldn't play. So yeah, Shamrock says, yeah, did Batman go on sale in October or November 89? I got mine either in October 89 or 90, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it did. I think it came out at the same time as the rental. Brandon says, I think you're right. I remember there was typically 6 to 12 months between when it was available to rent versus buy, and Batman may have been the first to bypass that. So it was the same in the US as well. That was really bold by Warner Brothers. Giallo requires deciding whether to watch them with subtitles or dubbed. Subtitles. I can't do dubbed. Can't do dubbed at all. Just subtitles all the way for me. I'm just going to break off from the 4Ks at the moment. And a couple of weeks ago, well, this goes back to last year, and unfortunately, my wife lost both her parents in the space of a year or two. They both passed, and her dad had a lot of vinyl, and I haven't had a vinyl. I haven't had a record player for over 30 years. 92, I think, was the last record player I owned, and then I just got rid of it and got into CDs and such. And then I went through a phase of just buying everything on iTunes or something like that. Then you sort of realize after a while, stuff starts going missing. Like, there were a few TV shows that I'd bought on iTunes that got cancelled over, in the last sort of 5 or 6 years. And so they removed them from iTunes because Apple decided that they wouldn't sell these comedy programs. Comedy programs like Little Britain, if any of you remember that show. And so regardless of whether you've bought them or not, they remove them from iTunes, and that's it. It's gone from your collection. You've paid for them, but you don't actually own them. So then that's when I started going, shit, all of a sudden, what if Apple goes bust? Never going to happen. But what if Apple stops doing their platform? I lose all my content. And so I just thought, right, all the stuff that means so much to me, I'm going to start buying again. Even though over the years, I must have bought them 2 or 3 times, over and over. And so with my wife's parents passing, we had this massive pile of vinyl and some really valuable vinyl. I mean, we had a lot of it valued, and some of it was just ridiculous. Some Beatles white label stuff. There was a Electric Ladyland that was worth a fortune just because it had some purple text on it, whereas all the others didn't. There was Rolling Stones. There must be 100 or so LPs, classic stuff, and I've been cleaning them all up and listening to them. Deshaun, we had a chat about Hulk Hogan at the start there. Check out the beginning of the video, mate. We talked about it. So we said, I tell you what, why don't we buy a record deck? And we have this little kind of private thing goes on that we call Friday Club, which is because we work together, we work in the same office together. Every Friday night, we sit down and we just the two of us, we put the radio on or whatever it is and just sit and have a few drinks and chat and just get everything off our chest about work. And we've done this for years and years. And so we said, right, let's get a record player and let's, go through some of this vinyl. So I just kind of I'm Googling everything. I'm Googling all my favorite artists. I'm Googling all my favorite soundtracks. And I've just started to buy everything that, are my favorites, and there's a lot of kind of, I was a huge fan of Queensryche years ago. I was a huge fan of Def Leppard, Metallica, all that kind of stuff. Started buying those. I've bought some Oasis. I've bought all the John Carpenter Lost theme stuff, and the anthology stuff is coming through. I've just gone a bit nuts with it all, and I just love it because I have a Sonos system. Plug the vinyl into the Sonos system, and you can just send it to any room in the house. It's fantastic. It's really cool. So I started to buy. First off, I'm not, I'm being careful where I'm buying them from. I'm trying to get good deals everywhere, and I have been getting some great deals because HMV in the UK have been doing 50% off vinyl at the moment, so that's been really handy. But I really love, I'm not one of these people who shits on the David Gordon Green trilogy or anything like that. They're not great, I know that. They're watchable. I enjoy them. I love the fact that it brought Halloween back in vogue again. Everybody was talking about it. I love the success of those movies. And I love the scores, the John Carpenter scores. So I ended up getting the Halloween 2018 score, which we all know is a great score. Ooh, it's a bit sticky there. I don't know what happened there. And it's just so cool to be holding this sort of stuff again after 30 years of not having a record player. So that was that one. I haven't got Halloween Ends yet. I haven't been able to find it at a decent price. So, and these were all new as well. You know, I'm not buying secondhand. Halloween Kills, again, another terrific piece of vinyl. Great score again. Really, really cool score. And then I already have this one, this Halloween one from Mondo, which I'm looking forward to playing. I haven't played it yet. This one's autographed by Carpenter as well. So I already have that one, and I thought, you know what? One of my favorite Halloween scores is Halloween 2. And I managed to get, for a really good price, the Death Waltz version of Halloween 2, which is this one here. I'm just going to remove that so you can see it. And I played this last night, and it sounded bloody amazing. It really did. It was fantastic. I mean, it hasn't got as many tracks on as the special edition that you get on the CD, but still, it sounds absolutely fantastic. It really does. So yeah, so I'm going to continue. I'm going to try. I mean, the Halloween 3 and Halloween 4 ones are quite expensive. They're going for like 50. I think the Halloween 4 one is around about £70 at the moment. But I think if you keep looking, you can get a bargain now and again. And I'm reticent to buy them secondhand off eBay because you just don't know what they're going to be like when you get it through, whether there's going to be, you know, whether it's going to look like someone's been ice skating on it or eating their breakfast off it or something like that. So yeah, so I'm just keeping an eye out for new ones. Hopefully I'll be able to, because I love the soundtracks to 3, 4, and 5. I like the soundtrack to 5. But yeah, there's some really cool Death Waltz versions out there, and Mondo ones as well. So yes, those that I'm going to be like, you know, my retirement money going on this stuff at the moment. Okay, let's see what's going on in the chat before we continue. Alan says, I have a first pressing of Tubular Bells, the first release on the Virgin label. Yeah, Tubular Bells wasn't in that collection that we inherited, but a real guilty pleasure of mine is the War of the Worlds. I don't know what everyone else feels about that, but I love the War of the Worlds, and so that one was in there, which I'm going to look forward to listening to. Chester says, out of all the stings Carpenter did, H2 had the most stings. It did. It had a lot. Shamrock says, I have that score on CD. Chester says, very cool vinyl. That's great artwork on Halloween 2. I wish I had that one on CD. Yeah, it is great. That's what attracted to me. I love blue and orange, and that really stands out well on there. Chester says, definitely my favorite score, Halloween 2 by Carpenter and Howarth. Shamrock says, I bought Jaws 2 and 3D on eBay years ago when they were okay. I've just bought the Jaws one, the Mondo Jaws one, the one that's kind of like it's the new version of the score, the remastered one for the 50th, that kind of opens up into like a big sort of shark fin and everything. Shamrock, I don't know if you've seen that. I'm sure you've probably ordered it already. But yeah, I've ordered that. It doesn't come out till October though, so I've got a little wait for that one. Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on, shall we? So, actually, let me talk about this. Prime Day. I love the Top Gun movies. Big fan of both films. I think they're both terrific. Great popcorn nonsense. And I don't have either of them, apart from on as digital purchases. I don't have either of them physical media. And last year, a box set came out with both the movies in, and it's around about £100. And wasn't really interested in it at all. And then on Prime Day, I think I managed to get it for around about 30 quid, which has both steelbooks of the movie in this big collector's box set here. Is that some sort of like the side of the plane or something? But look at all the nonsense that you get in this. Now, I don't really care about all the the little bits and bats that you get with it, but in all honesty, one steelbook is over £30 these days. To get both steelbooks of both films for £30 in this box set, it was just like an absolute steal. So I had to buy it. I just thought, this is what a bargain, eh? Especially if you like the movies. I mean, you may not like the movies, but I just thought I can't pass up on that for £30 when it's usually $99.99. I'm sure Paramount have got a warehouse full of these that go. It'd be like that warehouse holding those box sets of Top Gun will be like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. They've probably got so many of them. That's why they're selling them all for 30 quid a pop, but they've gone back up in price now, so it was just for Prime Day. John Bates says, found a first pressing of Dark Side of the Moon at work. I'll say that again. Found a first pressing of Dark Side of the Moon at work once going through stuff in the attic. Told my deputy manager about it, and a couple of days later it had gone. Not that I'm pointing any fingers. Shamrock said, no, Darren, I didn't order it as I have the original version, Mondo, done a few years ago. I'm holding out for the Entrada 50th anniversary CD. I think it's the same version as the Entrada 50th anniversary CD, but just on vinyl. But yeah, it's I don't think that's still been announced yet, has it? It's out on streaming, but they've still not announced it as a CD. But yeah. I can't wait for it to come, because I am told by people who've got good ears that there is a noticeable difference between the 50th anniversary and the what would have been I can't remember when the last one came out, would have been the 45th or even before that, I think. That there is a noticeable difference. I'm sure it's only kind of negligible, but apparently there is a difference. Alan sends in 10 years. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, buddy. That's really kind of you. He says, I actually had not the best day of days today, but this stream was a real tonic, so have a drink on me, Darren. Thank you, buddy. That's really kind. I certainly will. Look, I'm really touched. Thank you for that. That's I don't get many super chats on this channel here. At TSL we get quite a few, but on this solo channel, and that, I don't mind that at all. I don't have a member scheme or anything like that. It will probably come eventually, but it's kind of like, this is secondary to what we do on TSL, and it has to stay that way because we've got so many paid members on TSL, 120 or something like that. So we need to keep that content flowing over there. This channel was built, so that I could have an outlet and Frank could have an outlet on his channel when the two of us couldn't get together. So, you guys are getting more content across the three channels than if we just had the TSL channel. So, yeah, but no, thank you. I really appreciate that, Alan. That's so kind of you. Cheers. Shamrock says the CD seemed like an afterthought because people were asking online, "Where's the CD?" Yeah, I thought that as well. And then there was it Mattasino or whoever it was who came out and said, "Oh, it's coming. It's definitely coming." So they're probably all kind of pressing them and whipping them all up now, aren't they? Bobby Dazzler says the first rental and buy same day, if I remember, was Raiders of the Lost Ark. In 93, really? In the UK? Really? I know you could buy them, but at an extortionate price. They had like a price on there. So if you were in a rental store and you picked up like, I don't know, well, for example, the Paramount version of Jason Takes Manhattan that I bought, which was around about $89.99 or something. I saved up all my paperboy money or milk money, whatever it was I was working at the time. I was a milk boy, I think, in sort of 15, 16 years old. Bought that Jason Takes Manhattan for about $89.99, and yeah, I was so disappointed. I want to take it back, but yeah, they were available to buy, but we're talking here about ones that were at a reasonable price of about 15 quid, I think. So you may have been able to buy Raiders back in the early 80s. And I think, Paramount needed you to buy it back then, because in the UK, believe it or not, that Raiders wasn't a big hit in the UK. I'm told, because I was only 10 years old, or 9 years old when that film came out, I'm told that Paramount messed up the marketing on the film. And so I think overall, the box office, the last time I looked, the box office on Raiders in the UK was around about 3 million or something like that back in 1981, which comparatively, when you look at what it took globally and in the US and everything, was disappointing. So it wasn't the hit everybody thinks it was in the UK. It kind of got more of a following when it was released on VHS, and all those pirate videos that were floating around of it. They were all, you took Raiders out, you got ET with it as well. That's how it was back then. Okay, so the last two, there are more, but God, I think I talked about the Bond box set that I had before, didn't I? Which one do I do first? Okay, let's do this one first. I'm just going to take off the wrapping of this one before I talk about it. So I want to show you it properly. So this is a movie that came out. Where was it now? It did get a small cinema release in the UK and was actually put forward as a BAFTA. There was a BAFTA campaign for this movie. I'd seen it on... was it Shudder? I can't remember whether Shudder really... whether it was on... Was it Shudder or... Anyway, the movie is When Evil Lurks. And Second Sight have just brought out this amazing box set. This is a terrifying movie. An absolutely terrifying movie. It was Shudder. Yeah, Shudder there, look. And again, as usual, Second Sight give you all the kind of lobby cards, books, filled to the brim, essays and stuff, all that stuff you're never going to read probably. But a lovely thing to have. And in 4K as well. I'll just show you the covers there. You got a Blu-ray and a 4K on the inside. And the amazing thing about this is, as I said to you earlier, I beg to differ on the best jump scare in history, because I believe that When Evil Lurks has got the best jump scare in movie history. Put it down in the chat if you know what I'm talking about, and if you agree with me even. But it's a moment in the film that you think they're never going to go there. Something is brewing, and well, that tells you everything you need to know on the front. That's exactly why they've put that image on there, because this film is notorious for the jump scare in the middle of it. Shamrock says the dog. Yeah, it is. I'm not going to tell you what happens. It does involve a dog, but even though even when you know it's coming, when you've seen it before, it still gets you. And there's this kind of, I'm sort of in awe of it, because slowing it down, I can't tell that whether it's an effect or whether it's a CG effect, an optical effect, a dummy, I don't know. I've no idea how they did it. It's all there on camera and it happens in front of your eyes and you're just like, it's the most horrible thing. But at the same time, your heart's left your body because the moment it's just so jolting. Yeah, I without telling you what it is, it's difficult to properly describe, but it is, in my eyes and a lot of other people's eyes as well, one of the, if not the greatest jump scare in cinema history. It's something special. What's really cool about this film is the director, who's called Damien Rugner, who's dying to do a Friday the 13th film. That's his dream, is to do a Friday the 13th movie. And if he does, it would be fucking awesome. It really would, because this film's just a joy to watch. What's really cool is that Damien Rugner and Kaya Casas, who's the gentleman that directed The Coffee Table, were both at the same film festival together with their respective films. And The Coffee Table was showing on the first night, and Damien Rugner sat and watched The Coffee Table. Now, if you know what The Coffee Table's about, you'll know what this means, this conversation. The next morning, Kaya Casas came to Damien Rugner and said, "What did you think of my movie?" Bearing in mind they're both, I think they're both South American. Actually, no, one's Spanish, one's Argentinian. So both Spanish technically. So he said to him, "What did you think of my movie?" And he said, "I think it's disgusting. I can't believe what you did to that kid in The Coffee Table. I can't believe what you did." And so Kaya Casas went away thinking, "Oh my God, I've upset one of my friends. He's disappointed in me. He doesn't like my movie. Have I gone too far with this?" The next night, When Evil Lurks screens, and Kaya Casas, who directed The Coffee Table, sits through When Evil Lurks. And in my eyes, Damien Rugner went a notch further, or just as bad as The Coffee Table in terms of what he does to the girl in this film. And it was all a prank he was playing. He loved the film. And afterwards he was like, "You bastard. You told me you hated my movie." He said, "No." He said, "I just wanted you to see mine, and then we could have a good laugh about it." And I thought that was a really, really cool little anecdote. And that happened on a YouTube channel with an interview with Damien Rugner that I was watching. But yeah, I mean, I think this is worse than what happens in The Coffee Table, because at least in The Coffee Table, you don't see it. In this, you do. And it's a moment, guys. And I can't believe I'm seeing this here now on the back. 15? This is a 15? Oh my God. I'm stunned. I didn't know that. It's, for me, it's like a hard 18. Wow. Not just that, but some of the other stuff in this film, you know, with the kind of obese guy lying on the bed who's all infected, and you can see him rotting before your eyes. Wow, wow, wow. Oh, anyway, yeah. When Evil Lurks, if you haven't seen it, folks, treat yourself. It's a great movie. It really is. Really, really, really tense and unsettling. What do you call? Almost like, I guess, a type of possession movie in a way. Let's look at the chat. Let's have a look. The ending of that film is so frustrating. I won't spoil it, but Jesus Christ, people just can't follow instructions. Which film is that? When Evil Lurks. You think it's disappointing? I know what you mean, but having watched it a few times, I've kind of warmed to it. Shamrock says, "I remember you talking about this, Darren." Oh, honestly, David, watch it. It's a terrific film. Alan says, "Darren, do you own any imprint editions? I've a Bridge Too Far and Raging Bull on the Way from a good friend in Australia. They do some great stuff." No, I don't, actually. No, I don't. I'll have to check that out. Thank you. Thanks, Alan. Brandon says, when people say he doesn't bite, he's just a big baby. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Paul H says, I think Exorcist 3 just pips it. Both are excellent, though. Well, the thing for me is the Exorcist one's just worn so thin now. Yeah, I get it. It's good. For me, I think this surpasses it because it felt. I tell you what's nice as well is nobody was watching this film, and I'm not saying I discovered it at all. I'm not saying that, but not many people were watching it to begin with. It was one of those films that word got out there that this is something special. You should check it out. And I think what I very rarely jump watching a horror movie. And with this, I literally shot out of my chair, shouting the word fuck at the top of my voice. It set my wife off as well. She was leaping around. And I was almost, I tell you what I was like. I was a bit like, you know, the doctor in Friday the 13th Part 4, holy jumping Jesus fucking ape shit or whatever he says. I can't remember now. It was a bit like that. I was going around the lounge just screaming and shouting for moments after that happened because of what had happened. And yeah, for me, the what it did to me was far more than what The Exorcist one did. Shamrock says, "Nah, Ben Gardner's head." Yeah, that held the crown until Exorcist 3. John Bates says, just tell me the dog doesn't die. I don't care if it's an evil dog. Just tell me it stays in one piece. You'll have to find out, buddy. I think The Conjuring is up there as well, says David. The woman on top of the wardrobe. Yes. Oh, God. Yeah. That's, yeah. Chris says, damn it, Darren, the coffee table. Yeah, I know. Well, I can't help liking a movie, mate. Can't help liking a movie. Mark Wainwright said there's a jump scare in Lake Mongo that put about a meter between my arse and the sofa. I know how you feel. Exactly. That's what this was like. In fact, the part of my arse stayed on the sofa, I think. Alan said the biggest jump scare in cinema history is when the girl I was seeing dug her nails into my leg at that scene in Deep Blue Sea with Samuel L. Jackson. Oh, the shark jumping out the... Yeah, that was a shock to everyone as well. Stephen Green says, hello. Hello, Stephen. Brandon says, not disappointing, just frustrating because a certain character is dumb as shit. Yeah, I know what you mean. Wex says, I've Capricorn 1 from Imprint. Really excellent looking hard box set. Cool. I love Capricorn 1. Peter Hyams directed it, I think, didn't he? Yeah, Capricorn 1's such a great idea for a film. Or was it an idea? Or was it just a reconstruction? Yeah, Shamrock says, I'll check it out. Yeah, check it out, buddy. Check it out. Wordy Word Vaughan says, hi, Darren. Are you going to the Video Nasties Day on 30th of August? I'm really looking forward to it. No, I don't know anything about this. Where is this? Because... that weekend, my wife is away. Whereabouts is it? So I have the opportunity to go. Let me know where it is, because I'll look that up. I didn't know there was such a thing. Interesting. You're going to tell me now it's in, I don't know, Arkansas or somewhere like that. No, I'm sure if it's in the south of England, then maybe I'll go. But it's quite close to For the Love of Horror, so I've got to think about that as well. If I have to travel some distance. Last one is a movie that I'm a huge fan of that came yesterday. Slightly different title in this country to what most people know it as. This is a title that was always on the shelf in the video shop when I went in, and I was fascinated by the cover and this particular artwork because this is what everyone remembers in this country as the original artwork, and it's Zombie Flesh Eaters, or Zombie as it's known, or Zombie 2. It's known in some territories where they tried to pass it off as a sequel to Dawn of the Dead. But yeah, Fulci's Zombie. I just love that artwork. And if you look closely, you can see all the hordes of zombies against the Manhattan skyline there. Really, really cool. And the sticker, that sticker was on the VHS in the stores as a kid. They've replicated the sticker. They actually put the sticker on the cellophane, which was a bit of a pisser. So I've carefully peeled it off and stuck it on the box. I don't care. I wish they'd have printed it with that on the box, because that would be exactly how I remembered it as a kid. But there were two different versions of this. There was another one with some newly commissioned artwork, which I think I might be able to show you on the inside, because as you undo the slipcase, let me just show you the back there. A ton of stuff on this. It's in Atmos as well, and HDR. Is it in HDR? Yes, it is. Dolby Vision and HDR10. So looking forward to watching this. There you go. Oops. And then the actual case itself. And is it reversible? I'm not sure. Let's have a look. Oh, art cards as well. Let's have a look at those. Ah, it is reversible. Let me show you the reversible art. The Zombie 2 artwork. Put that back in before I show you what else you get in here. It is just, I think it's just the 4K version. No actual Blu-ray in here, but that's fine. And a bunch of art cards, which I'll grab for you and show you. That one there. Great stuff. Oops. Such a cool moment. That splinter. Yeah, it's an image that I remember on the back of the VHS, but I think it was in color on the VHS. There's the boat zombie, which I just think is just so disgusting to look at. That big guy with all the white, flaky skin all coming off. And then obviously that iconic shot as it rises out with its with all the worms in its eye sockets. Very cool. Very, very cool. Again, really looking forward to digging into this. And also, we get... Oh, wow, I didn't realize we got that. Okay. So there is as well... Zombie 2 poster. And then a poster of the newly commissioned artwork as well. They do good stuff. They really do. And to top it all off, you get this amazing book with all the production notes and essays, again, that you'll probably never read. Actually, I will do with this one, to be fair. So yeah, that's just that's released. I think it's released on Monday by Arrow, or maybe it's Friday, maybe it's tomorrow. But yeah, they were good enough to send it out early to everybody. Terrific little box set, really is. It really is. I'm really excited to watch it. Let me just put this away so I don't knock anything over or lose it. There we go. Mr. Riker, did Down acknowledge he killed... Oh, God, Jesus Christ. Too soon, Frank. Too soon. Joke about it next week. Brandon says Raggy did. He gave him a medal. Mark Wainwright, strong uncut version. Yeah, absolutely. Rick M said, I just rewatched Zombie Flesh Eaters a week or two ago and it still holds up. I think it's Fulci's best work. Yeah, I can't decide. I think it is. But I do love House by the Cemetery. There's something about that thing in the fucking cellar that's just acrid. Oh, it's horrible. Fulci with his eyeballs, Tarantino with his feet. Yeah. Myers fan 1973 says, just ordered that even though I have the Blue Underground 4K. I've got that one as well, but it's just kind of the regular. I didn't get a slipcover with it or anything. It's just the regular 4K. The FOMO for the original preset art was too much. Yes. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'm so glad they've done it. And I wish they would do more. It's like I wish, Second Sight, they really are the Rolls Royce of these companies, and Arrow as well. But I just wish that Second Sight would use more of the original artwork. They do newly commissioned artwork, which is always great. But I wish that they would, like the Scanners. Somebody said to me, I think it was Nigel said to me, the Scanners box set would have looked great with the original artwork on the front of it. What they did was good, but I don't think that a lot of these physical media companies appreciate how much as fans, how much love we have for seeing original artwork. And it's kind of echoed with this. I mean, this is the Bond box set, and I got this out the other day, I know, but I'm just going to mention it again. It would have been so cool to see. Let me just pull this off. The likes of Goldfinger with the original. I mean, that's nice. That's cool. But to have that original movie poster on there would have been just fantastic. I don't know, how you guys feel, but I just like, what? That's okay, but the original artwork for these movies was just superb back in the 60s. Such a shame. It really is. But they did such a great job on the transfers on these movies that I'm not going to moan too much. Just put that away. Let me just catch up with the chat. Shamrock says, Darren, silly question, is Zombie any good? It is. It is. It's a kind of slower burn than a lot of his other stuff, but it's fun. Once it gets going, there's some fantastic moments in there. And a great score as well. Yeah, the score sounds like it's been on a stylophone or something. Like one of those things Rolf Harris had, with it is. It's a great release. It is. It may be the Dawn of the Dead. It may be a Dawn of the Dead ripoff, but it's a great one. See, I never see it as a Dawn of the Dead ripoff. I think it's just completely different story and location. And I know what you're saying. They jumped on it because of Dawn of the Dead, and obviously, as the Italians often did, tried to pass it off as something that it wasn't. And so, yeah, I get what you're saying. There's no way you're a Bob fan, Darren? Bob? Who's Bob? Bob? Stephen Green says, another great show, Darren. Thank you, Stephen. Am I going or something? Myers fan, fuck Bob. Hashtag fuck Bob. Fuck Bob? What's the Bob stuff? Bob fan? What am I missing? Shamrock says, the art put me off on that Bond box set. You're 100% right. They should have just done the poster art. Yeah, I hear people saying it all the time. It's like with the Nightmare on Elm Street box set. We just know they're going to come up with something that's kind of indifferent. And it would be so cool if they did. Can you imagine the original Elm Street artwork on those steelbooks? It would be fantastic. absolutely fantastic. Like especially the UK art for those films, which I loved. The Graham Humphreys stuff, especially for number 1 and number 2. I'd love to see that go on those steel books. Maybe we will get them. Who knows? But they're taking their time showing us what it is that we're all going to spend the best part of 200 quid on. Myers Fan 73 says, I agree, Second Sight knock out great content, but their lack of original artwork really lets the overall package down. Yeah, but I mean, I'm still going to buy their stuff because it's just such high quality. Alan says, I would have 100% have bought that Connery set with the original artwork. I reckon it'll drop in price down the line. Yeah, possibly. I mean, it's a great... The box itself that it comes in is very classy, although you can't tell because I've just put the bloody thing back on. Maybe I can just lift this up. You can just see under there, maybe Sean Connery. Yeah, it's a very shiny, slick box that they've put it in. I'm just waiting for them to announce the Roger Moore one because that's the one I'm most looking forward to, I think. Where are we now? Fulci's zombies always looked better than Romero's. Yeah, the makeup on Fulci. I mean, because Romero was just painting this guy's turquoise, wasn't he? Whereas Fulci, there was something really filthy and disgusting looking about his zombies. They looked like they'd just come out of the ground. They were rotten. They had, all the flakiness, and there was a lot of effort that went into them. There was a lot of effort. Flicks and Pixels. Hey, just Dave, isn't it? Tempted to get zombie flesh eaters. I already have far too many releases arriving for a 28th of July release. I know, with Jaws and Final Destination, and there's other stuff as well that I've got on order, which I know is coming too. The kid from House by the Cemetery. That's what you're on about. Yes. Yeah. All right, I've got you now. Brandon says B9B is the little annoying shit in House by the you mean Bob is the little annoying shit in House by the Cemetery. Yes, I know what you mean. Is he as annoying as Emil in The Wild Geese, Richard Harris's son? Now he's an annoying kid. Don Max says, I attended a Fulci horror panel at Dragon Con about 8 years ago. I only had seen 2 Fulci movies at the time, Zombie 2 and The Beyond. Oh, The Beyond, I can't wait to get that 4K box set. So I didn't know most of the movies that were talked about. Yeah, no, he's some great stuff. He really did. Shamrock says, yeah, Darren, the UK artwork is what I'm familiar with. I'm going to go for the standard Elm Street release. I don't have high hopes for the artwork. Brad says, the Lazenby box set is going to be massive. Alan says, Fulci and Romero, the Ronaldo and Messi of the zombie world. Absolutely. And then Myers Fan 73 says, looking like tomorrow's Arrow announcements are going to make October a painful month. So the clue they gave with all the crucifixes on it, do we think that that's In the Mouth of Madness, or is it Salem's Lot? I'm guessing In the Mouth of Madness. That's what they're hinting at with that, aren't they? Fulci zombies seem like they're decomposing and rotting away in front of your eyes. They do. That's the thing. Especially the boat zombie in at the start of Zombie Flesh Eaters just makes me want to throw up every time I see it. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. Shamrock says, I did hear a rumor the next 4K Bond release will be Brosnan. Really? Are they going to skip? Because what you would think, what would be ideal would be for them to do Roger Moore and then maybe either bundle Brosnan and Dalton, or Dalton and Lazenby, or something like that, in some way, because they're just going to be, Lazenby's just going to be a single DVD, isn't it? And Dalton's going to be 2. So yeah, On Her Majesty's Secret Service is great. Yeah, it's a great film. Barbara Bach in The Spy Who Loved Me, First Crush. A girl that I work with, she went to see Paul McCartney at the O2 in December. And she paid a fortune. She paid like £500 for the ticket. And she came in the next day. I said, was it worth it, the concert? And she said, worth every penny. And I went, why? And sat immediately behind her was Ringo and Barbara Bach. And she has a photo of her reaching out with her fist and him fist bumping her. You can just see her fist and him reaching forward. Such a cool photograph. But to have Ringo sat at the back of you and Barbara Bach whilst watching Macca. What a great thing. I'm actually going to a concert this week. My wife managed to get 2 tickets to Oasis at Wembley on Wednesday. So I'm really looking forward to that. It was something I tried to get but just couldn't, and they've fallen into our lap this week. So we're going along to see them on Wednesday evening. Very exciting. Dalton was fantastic as Bond. Brosnan was awful. I don't think there was any Bond that I disliked. With the job that I do, I worked on 4 Bond movies, 4 Daniel Craig ones. Didn't work on the 5th one, unfortunately, but 4 of the Daniel Craig ones, and they were great. A lot of hard work, but a real pleasure to work on them. And because they were local productions to us in the UK, we got to interact with the producers, the directors. My wife is a publicist, so she was, working with the stars and that. So it meant a lot to us. It was a 10-year period, whereas we worked very hard on those, on Casino, Quantum, Skyfall, Spectre. And we were gutted when we lost the rights to Universal. It would have been nice to have done all the 5 Daniel Craig movies, but yeah. How do I feel about Denis Villeneuve? I think it's a good choice. I think it's odd that he would do it and not have final cut. That's interesting to me. But I think that he will deliver something that they won't have to do much with. I would have thought. He's a very, very talented man. But yeah, I mean, in terms of Bond, I don't know who that's going to be. I have no idea. It'll be interesting to see what they cook up there in terms of a new Bond, how young he's going to be. I remember, I think when Daniel Craig was announced, I was younger than Daniel Craig, and now being in my early 50s, it's going to be weird watching a Bond come in that's maybe 20 years younger than what I am. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. But Tom Holland. No. I saw that was banded around, but that's not somebody that I would choose. I liked the guy who was in Rebel Ridge. I forget, Aaron Pierre. A really handsome guy who was incredibly suave, and he's British as well. I know he's playing an American in Rebel Ridge. I actually liked the idea of Dan Stevens as well for a period of time, but then, he's kind of just gone off the boil a little bit, and it's probably a bit too old to play him now. But yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I know Brosnan was touting himself as a as a kind of, to Amazon, as a sort of aged Bond. That could be interesting. That could be interesting. I know that would never be the new film or anything, but I'd like to see something like that. A Bond in his 60s. Caroline Munro in her prime was in Spy Who Loved Me. She was. Brandon says, I'm hearing they want to go young. Tom Holland is a possibility, but he's only 5'7". I'm thinking Jacob Elordi. I'd love it to be Sam Claflin. Yeah, Jacob Elordi might be interesting. Might be interesting. I would even, Cavill. Why not? I know he's kind of a little bit beyond it in his mid to late 40s or whatever he is now, but why not? Why not? Give him 10 years doing it. Alan says, what about Nigel Rock God 2004? Basildon Bond. Yeah. Shamrock says, you've seen Bond in his 60s in A View to a Kill? You do. You do, absolutely. And I think maybe... how old was Connery when he did... What was the last one he did? Is it Diamonds? Other than Never Say Never, which technically isn't a Bond film. But an M series would be great. Have him come back to run MI6 and reconstitute the noise. Something goes wrong and he has to go... Oh, the double O's, sorry. The double O's. Reconstitute the double O's. Something goes wrong and he has to go back into the field. It writes itself. Yeah. I'm sure they've got a ton of ideas like that. Amazon. They must be itching to get on with it. And, you know, they've paid such a lot of money for it. They must be itching to kind of get their teeth into it. Don Mack said, this stream makes me feel going on both a Fulci and Bond binge. Oh yeah. Why not? I feel like I might do a bit of a Fulci binge this weekend. There's a few that I want to watch of it. Well, I've got the Don't Torture a Duckling and Zombie to watch, so I may well do that. Connery was only 42 when he did. Oh, was he really? Okay. And then someone says Connery was 39 when he did Diamonds. Okay. Yeah, because that's the premium Bond. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because wasn't Roger older than Sean Connery? Am I right in saying that? Am I right in thinking that? No, there wasn't much difference between him and Harrison Ford. Right, folks. I think I'm about the 90-minute mark now. Thank you again for joining us today. I'm going to try and do this next week as well. Next week, I might have to do it earlier in the week or later in the week. Thursday next week, I have to... Yes, Darren Roger was older. I thought he was. I have to kind of dismantle this room and get it ready for the guy who's coming in to fit everything. So there might be a little gap, but I'll try and record some content in advance. I'm getting together with Nigel this Saturday, I think. We're going to record what will probably end up being a double episode. We're going to do our favorite Arrow releases. We did it with Shout Factory. We did it with Second Sight. And we're going to do it with Arrow this weekend. So hopefully by the end of Sunday, I should drop one of those episodes. But we usually talk for so long that I don't want to put a 2-hour episode out there. We'll make it a good 45 minutes, an hour or something like that for each one. But we are talking through 10 each. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. It's good to see him back out there doing content. He had a little break for a few weeks. So it should be fun seeing him on Saturday and recording some new stuff. Like I said, thanks for all your support on the channel, guys. The likes, the subscribes, everything. Alan, thank you so much for the super chat. That was very generous of you. And I will hopefully, I might even get a video out tomorrow. There's a couple of stuff I want to do. We'll see how it goes. But definitely by Sunday, you should see something with regards to myself and Nigel doing our favorite Arrow releases. Oh, hang on a minute. Last message. Paul Rose says, I don't know about a first bump. Would an ugly bump have been out of the question? First bump? What are we talking about now? First bump. You've lost me. Okay, folks. Good to see you all. Thanks for joining me, and I'll speak to you very soon. Cheers. I'm coming back on because my co-host has dropped me a super chat. He says, remember, ladies and gentlemen, Darren will be on for another 6 hours singing. Thank you, Frank. Thanks for that. I know what he means, but I'm not going to elaborate there. But I'll do this again. Thanks a lot, guys. See you soon.